Hey there, everybody. The Gone with the Wind Awards are still active and ready for you guys to vote as we speak. Find the link in the description down below and let us know what you think is the best of 2021.
He's looking at you, kids.
Me too.
I wish I knew how to quit eating bugs.
This theme so James Bond.
There's no place like home.
I'm gonna make him an offer down with you.
BAFTA, DGA, and Critic, so my! It's an extravaganza where we're going to go through these, a lot of these different wins we had that kind of tell us a little bit about what we can expect in 2 weeks' time. This is Gone with the Wind. Cue the music. Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting edition, number 97, if I'm not mistaken, of Gone with the Wind. I'm your host, Manning Franks, the host of Gone with the Wind, the show about award shows where we talk about, you guessed it, award shows. And I have a regular panel today of Dan, Skip Allen.
Hey, I've been trying to talk about this stuff for a week now, and whatever.
Here we go. We finally got a chance to, because we were going to do it Monday, the day after everything transpired, and now 3 days later this happened because Manning's schedule is hectic, as we all know. It's a running theme at this point. And another running theme is the fact that nothing comes out in New Zealand like it should until months later. We have Malcolm.
Well, I mean, Tammy Faye did come out in cinemas for me. I just didn't get a chance to actually see it.
Okay, so it did come out in theaters.
Yeah, I never seen it. I was just surprised to see it on Disney Plus because I didn't realize it was Searchlight.
Right there, Malcolm. Right, she's putting her hand over her head right there.
Anyway, I'm good.
Hello, well, welcome Malcolm, welcome Dan, and welcome me. We're here now with this exciting edition of Gone with the Wind. We're going to dissect DGA, we're going to dissect BAFTA, we're going to dissect Critics' Choice Awards. But first, the Gone with the Wind Awards are currently going on right now, and the link is in the description down below. So please go and vote upon those that we still have. We still got time. I'm probably going to extend it because I haven't had, with the recent passing in my family, my grandfather passed away. I haven't got a chance to really promote it and get it out as much as I wanted to. So we're probably going to extend it another week and make the announcements sometime the following week. I'm not sure yet, but please continue to vote and get it out there. I'd love for you all to go and cast your ballot, because we'd love to be able to hear what you have to say. Anyway, yeah, I'd never want this to happen again, because so many times in life these past 2 years, thanks to the pandemic, we have an extended award season. And Dan, this award season, we have had multiple things on top of each other, I feel like, with things getting pushed. And we had the Critics and BAFTA, and then the DGA the day before. Critics and BAFTA were on top of each other, and the DGA was doing its own thing the day before. I feel like that was a little bit much in one day. What is your thoughts upon the fact that we had all this in one weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it because the BAFTAs are 5 hours ahead of us, so they were so early in the day at 2:00, and then I could follow it on Twitter and see who won, and then that night before going to work, my other job, I could watch the Critics' Choice Award. So it worked out for me because I still got my rest and I was able to follow along with what was going on. But no, I know it just happens how it landed. And I think maybe, the thing that I liked is that Critics' Choice did a room in England at the Savoy Hotel, and they had a bunch of the winners there. Even though some of the people didn't show up, like Benedict Cumberbatch and people like that didn't show up, which I kind of wish he had been there, because that way he could see the wins for Power of the Dog and Jane Campion. But I think it was good. I mean, they did the best they could for considering what they had to work with. I'll be honest. I think if the Academy Awards has to do something like this, have two different locations, if they can't all be at the Dolby Theater, then I don't see a problem with putting people at another location in England that way.
Well, They did do it. Remember last year they had one in England, they had one in Berlin, if I'm not mistaken, or was it
Italy
Paris?
or
Maybe
somewhere.
Paris. Somewhere along those lines. They had a
Yeah.
couple in Europe.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually like what the critics chose, and I thought it worked good, because then if like say Belfast won, and then the people that were in England stood up on the stage, even though Jamie Dornan talked the whole time, none of the people in England got a chance to talk about the movie, but he did let Jude Hill speak, so that was Jude Hill was kind of pretty cool to hear him talk and hear him thank everybody.
Cool
that
kid.
was funny. And they had the kid from Minari do the award, so that
Alan
was kind
Kim.
of
Yes.
they showed
That
his
was
moment
sweet.
again. Like I teared up just watching that moment again. I was like, dang it. A lot of it was emotional for me. I'll be honest with you.
Of course. It was a good show. I missed part of BAFTA, so I didn't get to watch the full thing, but I watched critics, and it was well, I think it was a good show. The problem was I feel like that they pulled what the Oscars usually do, and it felt like literally every other award that was not an acting award was off screen. And I felt that, and I was very sad because I'm like, wow, this is what the Oscars hopefully want to go for a little bit. And this is why the Critics' Choice Awards are my least favorite to watch. Mainly because, well, first off, it's kind of like it doesn't feel succinct. We don't really see everything. It feels like it's trying to be something that it's not. And it doesn't really feel like critics. It feels like the People's Choice wannabe. And that's kind of like what it's the predictive nature that they do. And I guess we'll get into the winners in a second, but I think it was merely fine. I liked BAFTA. I think that was a really good, fun experience just to be able to see all those people. Dan, what were you gonna say?
I love that Amelia Jones got up there and sang her song from
Yes.
Coda. I mean, how did this song not get nominated for best song? I have no idea. Because I rewatched Coda again, and I'm like tearing, I'm like bawling through that entire sequence, and I'm like, how does this song not get nominated for original song?
Down to Joy is taking its spot for
that song by her was amazing. I mean, I've watched Coda like 3 times, and this time I was just emotional about it, And then I hear her singing at the BAFTAs. I'm like, oh my God.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, those also transpired. No one really got a chance to watch the DGA because it was not streaming for everybody. It's not a streaming one, but we got to hear little bits and pieces, and we heard a lot of like good stuff about Spielberg that was said.
Apparently, everybody talked about Spielberg. Yeah, and
understandable.
Being eviscerated Sam Elliott.
Yes, yeah, it was deservedly so. After the choice words that he said on the unfair, well, we can get into that a whole nother day and spend time with him. But the unfair.
If New Zealand looks like the Old West.
I don't understand. It's like, I don't think you understand location scouting. You don't film a place literally in the place that it transpires. That almost never happens. No. Malcolm, as a resident Middle-earth expert for Best Peter Jackson impersonation, did they really film Middle-earth? No, they used New Zealand. New Zealand's beautiful, and they want to use it for Montana. Perfect. He also said some incredibly, like, he said some very derogatory comments and bigoted comments, and I'm like, Sam, what are you doing? Just don't say anything. It was really disappointing.
He's probably in trouble in Hollywood right now.
Understandably so, because some of that stuff, he wasn't even like, I don't like the film. Cool, fair. I know people who don't like it. Anyway, what were your thoughts on what were your thoughts, Malcolm, on what did we do again? Oh yeah, the BAFTA, PGA, Critics' Choice, all that stuff. I'm not sure if you watched it, but what are your thoughts in general?
Yeah, I didn't actually watch it. Just because I completely forgot the BAFTAs was on, and I was asleep at the time.
You were asleep probably.
But because I remember saying something in the group chat, was like, "Wait, BAFTAs was on today."
You did say that. I was about to say yes.
But I mean, I meet up on the winners, and just to sort of bounce off Dan's point, the song that Amelia Jones sang in Coda was not an original song. That's why it wasn't nominated. It was a remake of it was a Joni Mitchell song originally. It wasn't an original song
right.
for the movie.
That's right. I
Mm,
forgot all about
okay.
that, man. I completely forgot it was a Joni Mitchell song. You're right. You're 100% right.
Nice pull. Nice pull.
He's right.
I
I
will.
watched the movie and I remember, well, what are you going to be singing? Joni Mitchell song. Duh.
Fair. But what I was gonna say is, before we get started, talking about these winners, have you all seen the new Academy Award trailer that was announced today for the Oscars? Get ready for this. We're gonna be celebrating 60 years. Did you see it, Malcolm?
I didn't.
I haven't seen it either.
I literally just saw it before we started recording, and they literally have announced they're going to be performing "We Don't Talk About Bruno" at the beginning as an opening.
Come on. Why not nominate the song then? Why not vote it in as one of the songs?
You realize, well, the problem is because Disney didn't submit them, and I'm over here just thinking like, y'all are gonna literally be performing this. It wasn't even nominated. You're gonna perform this because you want the ratings. That's the only reason you're gonna be doing it. You just want the ratings, and I just kind of find it really pandering. They're really pandering. If you look and see
I mean,
what they're doing, go ahead.
I mean, it's just like I think it was a few years ago. This would have been 2016 or something. They Queen performed at the start of the at the Oscars. So I mean, it's definitely a pandering move. Like,
Yes, it is. And I see what they're trying to do because, again, it's like one of the most popular songs right now. And I think it's the better song than Dos Origuitos. Origuitos. Thank you. I think it's the better song. Not that the other one's bad, but I think this one is a lot more catchy. It's a lot more catchier. It's catchier. But it just feels like, what are your thoughts upon that? They're also going to be celebrating 60 years of James Bond. They're going to be celebrating, and they all said this in this short teaser, and they'll be having a Godfather reunion. So that's a cool thing. That's really cool.
Who should be giving away Best Picture. The Godfather cast should be giving away Best Picture, if you ask me.
They should. That would be really cool. But yeah, I just think it shows more along the lines of what demographic they're going for. They're being like, "Hey guys, look at this. We got Encanto with We Don't Talk About Bruno. That was famous, was popular. You know, it's just kind of you're doing that instead of showing I don't know. That's just more fuel to the fire, we shall say, as they continue to get the backlash from this cutting of categories. Cutting for the live aspect of the categories, excuse me.
And I forgot to mention that when you said that. I mean, you could hear the crowd cheering when one of their films or whatever shows won an award when they did that thing on the Best Production Design, Dune, yay! Best Cinematography, Dune, yay! In the background, it's like,
yeah,
like, okay, come on, man. I mean,
I'm gonna miss that.
Just do a second show. TV on Saturday, movie on Sunday. Critics' Choice. How about that?
Oh yeah, for that. I thought we were talking about the Oscars for a second. I was like, what?
No, Oscars. There's only 23 categories. You gotta be able to just do it earlier. I mean, Jeff was kind of giving us. Just do it at 7:00. It's already California. It's already early in California. Just do it an hour early. What's one more hour early? You're gonna
agreed. ABC just really wants it to be 3 hours. Like they don't want anything over, and they're like, oh, how could you?
Look, you're in the news business, man. You can push the news to 11:30. The fact that the news is at 11 or 11:30 doesn't make that big of a difference.
We are pushed. I will say a little behind the scenes of news. We get pushed. If there's like a sports thing going on, so I understand why they're upset, but in the sense of upset, like you meet a certain time frame. That's what you do.
Just make it 3.5 hours then. Whatever.
I agree.
I guess I'm not in the news, so I know the networks have their, we gotta have the news out by 11:00.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And because that's our allotted time frame. Go ahead, Malcolm.
What I was about to say is, like it's one of those ones like I don't know what reasons ABC has. I think it's just a case of like, because I think it's a case of when you look at movies and that, a lot of times with movies, like people go, oh yeah, I don't like. It's not often that people are going to want to sit through a 5.5-hour movie. So we need to make sure the movie's at least 3 hours, so it's digestible. So I think that's probably where they're going for the Oscars. Like they're probably thinking like any longer than that, people are going to start to tune out and sort of not watch, or they're going to watch a certain part of it. And that's probably what they've done. They've probably looked at all these metrics because they probably looked at like the ratings, because I think they can see the ratings like per hour of the Oscars, so I can sort of see, well, there's a big dip here. What categories are on this dip? So, and how can we spread it out so that people, it's a consistent rate watching all the way through?
You know how many times people record things now, Malcolm, and watch them later? A hell of a lot now, more now than they did before. There's going to still be a lot of people that are going to record that and watch it later.
I mean, yeah, but although people will stream it a lot too now, because people have cut the cable. They don't have them recording it now.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. But that's the thing. But and so it's one of those ones like that's what a lot of these channels want to try and do. They want people to watch them live on TV. And that's why they maybe make some of these decisions that they do.
Yeah, it's just live TV. I feel like, and this is someone who works in the news, live TV it's not what it used to be. There is no monopoly. There was a great there was a great article from the Washington Post where Mark Harris was giving like how we are so like diversified when it comes to our interests now as a society that we're not going to have the same sort of monolithic idea of going to the film as we once did back even like in the 90s. Which is a really astute observation that I thought. Anyway, that is something else in and of itself entirely. We're going to get right on to the Critics' Choice Awards, BAFTA, and the DGA. But let's start with the DGA because they were first. This past Saturday, we heard a little more about the nominees for Best Director, which were Belfast, West Side Story, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Denis Villeneuve for Dune, and, of course, the winner, Jane Campion, The Power of the Dog. So, guys, tell me that The Power of the Dog is not wrapped up for director.
I mean,
it's wrapped up.
You know, Malcolm, I want to go off on something Malcolm said a while back. He might have said it a couple times. He said, "Oh, Will Smith is going to get revenge on Denzel Washington because Denzel beat him in 1992 for Training Day." Well, we forget Jane Campion lost to Steven Spielberg in 1993 for Best Director. So now she's getting revenge on Steven Spielberg. So we got a couple of those scenarios going on here. So it's kind of neat that Will Smith and now Jane Campion are going to get their Oscars for films, and on the losing end is Steven Spielberg and Denzel. Not that either one of them deserve to be on the losing end, but it just so happens that worked out that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like Malcolm, what are your thoughts on the fact that that Jane Campion is probably going to win the Oscar and sweep, much like Chloe Zhao did last year with director?
Yeah, I mean that's like at this point it's pretty much foregone conclusion. And we'll get to when we talk about BAFTAs and critics as well, because she repeated theirs. Well, I mean, like she hasn't lost any of this. Like she hasn't lost any steam, and even though I didn't watch it, in the Hollywood Reporter article that Manning Thing I read for it, and they put a snippet from part of her speech, and she did actually call out Chloe and sort of go, it's like, this is for you for what you did for women filmmakers everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that Jane Campion's going to be the first female to actually double up her awards at the Oscars.
Yeah, that's very true. Because correct me if I'm wrong, she won for the piano for screenplay, correct?
Yeah, screenplay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. So she'll have 2 Oscars on her mantle by the time in 2 weeks.
And when we get to Critics' Choice, I got a story I want to tell about Critics' Critics' Choice
Maybe.
when we get to that.
Well, let's wrap up with DGA because there's not really much to go off of except first time directorial achievement. Maggie Gyllenhaal won for The Lost Daughter.
Winning everywhere. I guess it's
yeah.
everybody loves The Lost Daughter. I'm not the biggest fan of The Lost Daughter, but
Neither am
obviously
I.
people are. So I rather, you know what, of all these first time winners, I would have rather seen Rebecca Hall win. Well,
That's what I was about to say.
Lin-Manuel Miranda won at Critics, so there you go. So
I would have loved Rebecca Hall to win this. Rebecca Hall hasn't nearly gotten enough love, I feel like, and she did really inspired direction. I feel like The Lost Daughter strength is in its adaptation of a really complicated script, even if I may not like it. The adaptation of itself, I think, is more impressive than the direction. So her winning for The Lost Daughter is kind of like, okay, sure, fine. I missed the boat when it comes to like really kind of loving or liking The Lost Daughter really that much.
yeah,
But you know, Malcolm, thoughts that you had on Rebecca Hall winning against Rebecca Hall didn't win. Maggie Gyllenhaal won against Rebecca Hall. Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick Tick Boom. Michael Sarnowski for Pig. Emma Seligman for Shiva Baby, and then Tatiana Huizeo for Prayers of the Stolen. Maggie Gyllenhaal beat all of them out.
I mean, good for Maggie. I haven't seen Lost of It, so I don't. I mean, I haven't seen Lost of It, so I don't really have much to say about this.
Fair.
But I mean, it's one of those. Like, I would have loved to see Sarnowski win for Pig. Just based on how much people have been praising this movie. I've still got to see this as well, but yeah, I don't have much to say.
Then that's fair. I think that's kind of a cap on the series of like, because everything at this point, whether she wins the Oscar for adapted screenplay, which at this point I don't think it's between. We'll get into that in a second. Because BAFTA came up with a couple of surprises. Because BAFTA was before Critics' Choice, and we'll kind of go. What I'll do is I'll kind of cross-reference when there is like a crossover. We can kind of talk about what we think that is coming up, and this is kind of be a little preview on our Oscar. On our Oscar talk or predictions next week. All right, so we're going to start off with BAFTA. And for your rising star, voted by the public, Lashana Lynch won against Harris Dickinson, Ariana DeBose, Millicent Simmons, and Cody Smith-McPhee. Lashana Lynch, I think, won based upon, because this is, remember, the public voted upon this. And who was in the biggest movie out of all these? Lashana Lynch for No Time to Die. So that makes sense in retrospect.
Yeah, no, you're right. But isn't it funny that Cody Smith-McPhee couldn't win this? You knew if you weren't going to win this one, he ain't going to win the other one, you know?
Although it's the public. It's the public, you know?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like the public, I mean, I think even based on the public votes, I thought it was either going to be Lashana or Ariana DeBose first. So both of those are probably arguably the movies have been watched the most. Like Power Dog was a Netflix movie. A lot of people might have forgotten it came out, and
no, understandable. Again, it's not although West Side Story didn't exactly do great either numbers in theaters. So it makes sense that No Time to Die won. All right, but best special visual effects. Our winner was, guys, write it on your Oscars. It's Dune. And there's and it also it repeated at the Critics' Choice Awards. There's nothing else, right? It's Dune.
No, Dune's got this, but cinematography was an interesting one.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a sec.
I mean, I'm actually not ready to sort of say Dune's a lot for visual effects.
Because, what else could win?
Well, I'm just saying because the one movie that's not in the BAFTA one that is in Oscars is Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think if anything could topple Dune for visual effects at the Oscars, it's Spider-Man.
True, it missed both visual effects.
Or even because the difference here because I think I can't remember what two of these are not nominated over at the Oscars, but I know Shang-Chi's in the Oscars and so is Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think if either of those, if Dune could lose to either of those two, so I think there's a couple of different movies in the Oscar ones and this one. So
Although I will say, I think the Marvel films cancel each other out because they're both the two Marvel films people might be voting for. I think the one option is that Spider-Man could win because it hasn't. I don't. It didn't. Critics' Choice nominations came out before people really saw it. In BAFTA, it was not eligible.
Yeah.
So
Yes. So it's just one of those ones like that's why I don't think Dune is a complete lock for visual over in the Oscars just yet. I mean, I think I've still got it predicted, but yeah.
yeah, no, fair, completely fair. All right, so I forgot that they don't have best sound over at they don't have best sound at critics, which is so weird to me. All right, best sound winner, Dune.
Yeah,
Like
Dune's gonna get a lot of these below the line categories. It's just the technical achievement of Dune.
Yeah.
Is amazing.
And one of the, although moving right along to the next one in the BAFTAs, and that is makeup and hair. The winner was Eyes of Tammy Faye, beating out House of Gucci, Dune, Cyrano, and Cruella, which all four, besides Eyes of Tammy Faye, had more nominations at the BAFTAs than the Eyes of Tammy Faye, and the Eyes of Tammy Faye still won. It repeated at critics as well too. So
that's pretty much a lock for that, and Cruella for costumes. Those are probably pretty
honestly
much locks.
Those two, I think, are locks.
Dune might sneak up in costumes, but I would say it's pretty much Cruella and Eyes of Tammy Faye for makeup and hairstyling and costumes.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead. I keep jumping
No,
ahead.
you're right. I mean, I can put 1 and 2 for those because those are kind of, I think, craft-wise, those are kind of like...
hand in hand. They go hand in hand. But yeah, I'm glad to see Cruella getting something. And if the production value is one of my favorite parts about that movie, but also you cannot deny the costumes.
No, those the costumes in Cruella, especially like I think I'm never gonna forget the trash dress.
And the
classic.
and the flame dress or the Phoenix dress.
Yes.
Those two would just your jaw drops. You're like, what?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Utterly beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So also for BAFTA, another great one you have is production design, and both went to. You guys want to repeat it together? Dune. Is there anything that can compete with Dune at this point when it comes to production design? Because I feel like we were talking about Nightmare Alley at one point, which again, it was nominated in both, but it didn't win against Dune.
You know what? I listened to somebody talk about this, Manning, and I can't remember who I heard talk about this, but they said that how they're copying something that has already been done with Nightmare Alley. You're just basically recreating something that basically happened 80 years ago, the 1920s or whatever. Dune, you're doing everything from scratch. It's all new. Nobody knows what any of this stuff looks like. Unless you read the book, you kind of vision it. You know, when you read books, you kind of envision things in your head, but you don't know. Like the flop.
So true.
Like the flopters, those are amazing. They are amazing, you know? And some of the different places that they go in Dune, and Dune too. Oh, geez. Can't wait to see what they do when it comes to production value, you know? But yeah, so that's where I think a lot of people are just gravitating towards Dune, in my opinion. But hey, maybe Malcolm's got a different opinion.
Malcolm, do you have a different opinion?
I mean, it's one of those ones because I think we've seen remakes when productions on before or something where you can, but I think to be able to recreate something and make it look pretty much identical to the original is actually pretty good. Like in my opinion, because
not easy.
It's not easy to look at a film's like, right, I want the exact same set, go and recreate it, because and not most of the time you're not going to get exactly correct. I don't know much about this original Nightmare Alley. I just know what the one I've seen. I
mean,
but
I will say Nightmare Alley is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say I think it's just as impressive to be able to
It is.
recreate something as opposed to creating something from scratch.
I will say, it's not exactly 100% copy and paste. They definitely added their own flourishes and they added their own style to it, and I appreciate that because it is visually disarming. Truly, I'm just over here like it's beautiful to look at. It's like in scope and scale and just strikingness. It's like almost a character in of itself. But you're right. It is like it's a world building aspect, and that's why I think the Dune, because you're coming out of it from your mind's eye, your creative mind, and kind of like putting that out into the world. That's impressive. Not the other one's not impressive. It's still really impressive. But you're right. I do agree. I like the idea of creating it further.
Yeah, the one thing I will add about Dune is it's one of those ones that you can argue, because I don't know how similar the production design is to the David Lynch version, but you can argue that Denis watched that one and took inspiration from that as to how to create that. I don't know how much. So there is that argument too. Like a lot of people can easily argue that maybe Denis took inspiration from the David Lynch one as well and recreated some of what he did, but will put his own flair on that too.
Well,
not that I'm trying to say that Denis copied David Lynch's version.
Oh, of
I'm
course
just saying
not.
that you can make the argument that he took inspiration from it to inspire his own creation. So
I can tell you right now, Malcolm, he did not. He used the book and the second book as his inspiration. He envisioned what the book said and showed and wanted to express, and that's what he used as his vision. Because I've listened to interviews with Denis Villeneuve, and he did not go off of David Lynch at all. He went off of the books.
Okay, I say I did not know that, but I'm not shocked because I know he's a big fan of the books. All right, I can't wait to talk about this one because this one is this one's my favorite. Editing. I'm saying this now. The winner for BAFTA's editing was No Time to Die. The Critics' Choice winner for editing was West Side Story. Ace Eddie was King Richard for drama, and for comedy it was Tick Tick Boom. There is no frontrunner in this category. This is literally, I will have a hard time anyone telling me, oh, I know this category. No, you do not. Best editing, No Time to Die, which is, by the way, an excellent winner. Excellent winner. I think that is a really, really inspired winner, in my opinion. But I'm just kind of shocked because Dune hasn't won anything. I think most people assumed that would win. So I'll ask you, Malcolm, is No Time to Die a good winner? And what does this mean for its competition? It's not nominated at the Oscars, No Time to Die.
Yeah, I think No Time to Die's editing is great. But all I'm saying now is watch Dune come out of nowhere with the Oscars making the editing race a pretty much a fire split. Like no one repeats.
That'd be crazy.
Has that ever happened before? Editing like no one's ever.
No.
But yeah. But yeah. I have no idea where to go for the Oscars. But I actually would like to see West Side Story win it because I think West Side Story's editing is great. But I just have no idea at this stage.
Well, West Side Story is not nominated at the Oscars.
Oh,
see, so it's like
Tick Tick Boom is though.
For some reason,
no, it's Tick Tick Boom for best editing. It's Tick Tick Boom, King Richard, Dune, Power of the Dog, and King Richard, Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom, Dune, and what am I missing? I'm missing one.
Summer of Soul? Is it Summer of Soul?
No, it's not Summer of Soul. I'm really missing. No documentary. Oh, I know someone's screaming at the best.
No,
maybe I've already said it.
We're live. We're not. Oh, we are live. Okay.
We're not live.
We're not live.
I'm recording this.
Yeah.
I'm recording this for later. Oh wait. Don't Look Up. I forgot about Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up. Yeah, I mean
that's not winning.
I think Tick Tick Boom's the front runner here because it's the most editing. I think they go for the most
Fair.
editing, and whether you like it or not, some of the times the winner isn't always the one you think because it has the most editing. The Tick Tick Boom's editing is amazing. I mean,
It is
just
great.
incredible. And we talked about this before, man. That's gonna be probably the hardest category I have to pick because I think a lot of them are starting to shape up here. Ones that you thought were tough at first, now we're starting to shape up. We're starting to see clarity on,
No, I agree. And I think going into the night, editing will be the biggest question mark because no, I don't think it's ever happened, Malcolm. I don't think we've ever had this much of a split and nothing transpire. I'm trying to recall because I know Ace Eddie, the year of Captain Phillips and Gravity and Rush, all three were separate. But I don't know if Gravity won Critics' Choice. I can't recall.
Yeah,
That's
I
2013.
mean, it's one of those ones because like, I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd say maybe either King Richard or Tick Tick Boom come out on top just because they won Ace Eddies, but it's also one of those ones like it's really hard to guess that because the only one at the BAFTAs that is actually nominated at the Oscars is Dune.
Yep.
So
ironic, isn't it? Like it couldn't win, even though it was the only one nominated at the Oscars. I'm not sure if it's just respected and not loved because Dune is not the flashiest editing. It's great editing, but it's not flashy editing.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that manages to shape up later. All right, we have cinematography. The winner of that night was Dune. For Critics' Choice, cinematography went to Ari Wagner's The Power of the Dog. And I think this is a legit race that we may have because don't forget, the American Society of Cinematographers is going to be happening this coming Sunday. So that could also throw a wrench into things because that's where Mank won and then ultimately went on to win the Oscar, even though Nomadland last year won BAFTA. So Dan, what are your thoughts upon the fact that we may or may not have a race now with the Power of the Dog? Or what are your thoughts on Dune cinematography for winning BAFTA?
Well, Dune to me is the most gorgeous movie I've seen all year. I mean, absolutely breathtaking. Greg Fraser is going to win an Oscar this year or next year because he did Batman, the Batman. And I'm telling you right now, the Batman is phenomenally looking. But I think he's going to win this year for Dune. But I will say, I talked about this. Power of the Dog is a beautiful, beautiful. Malcolm's country, Malcolm's backyard looks great. Malcolm, you have a beautiful backyard. I'm telling you right now, they put it on film and it looks gorgeous. Yes. I would love to see your backyard in person one day. Don't think I'm coming over creeping in your backyard, Malcolm, but it's just a gorgeous backyard.
Response.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's ever happened in the cinematography branch, but could it be possible we end up with a legit tie at the Oscars, like both Dune and Power of the Dog win?
Ooh, haven't had ties. A lot of ties at the Oscars.
The last tie we had.
There's been a
was
few.
The
I
sound
know.
category, right, or the sound editing?
I can't remember. I think it was. I think it was when the sound categories were split. Because I think it was Dunkirk and something else, if I remember rightly.
No, it was sound editing, Zero Dark 30, and Skyfall back in 2013.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere close to there.
I knew it was in the teens. I just couldn't remember which year.
Wow.
But yeah, Power of the Dogs is gorgeous. Malcolm, you got a beautiful country. I can understand why they filmed Lord of the Rings there, and they go back there to film things, even westerns, to make them look like Montana.
Even though they're not coming back, apparently they're not coming back for the second season of the Lord of the Rings TV show, which is weird.
What? Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's really too bad.
And you think it'd be cheaper to film there? I'm not saying anything about the economic situations between our countries, but You think it's
Well-
cheaper to film in New Zealand than America?
I mean, they probably got their reasons for deciding to take the second season to
Mhm.
UK, but whether or not they're visiting places that we haven't already visited in the movies or something, and they want to put the fresh spin on it, I don't know. But yeah, because whenever anyone films in New Zealand, like the New Zealand government helps them out, like New Zealand Film Commission, like give them X amount of money
don't get
to help
it.
them out. So yeah, I don't get it, but we're not here to talk about the Royal TV show, which hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, you're looking at these right now for cinematography. I think this is Dune and The Power of the Dog at this point. You flip a coin, it could be either
Yeah.
one of them. There is a day, well, we'll get to that in a second, but there is a day where cinematography is the only below the line thing that The Power of the Dog wins.
Wow, that's weird because you think, remember back in the day we thought, oh, Power 12 nominations, it's going to win a bunch of below the line, but now we're thinking Dune's going to win a bunch. So it's kind of interesting
It
that
has to.
we're talking above the line for Power of the Dog and below the line for Dune. That's interesting.
yeah,
Oh,
but it's one of those ones like I was that it could go either way because there's all. I mean, the one thing I've always learned from the Oscars is always wrenches thrown in there. It's like sometimes the ones you think you're going to win aren't necessarily going to win.
No, and when it comes to what you expect to win, doesn't mean it's automatically going to win. That was not the case this year when we had the winner for original score, Dune. I think it's safe to say for BAFTA, winner for BAFTA was Dune up against Being the Ricardos, Don't Look Up, The French Dispatch, and The Power of the Dog. Hans Zimmer, I think, is going to get his second Oscar.
Thank you. He deserves it. He deserves.
Yes.
I mean, the guy, he should have had more than 2 by now. I mean, for the fact of the matter is, he just deserves. And you know, I've been champion Johnny Greenwood all year, but
Of course.
I don't have any problems with Dune. I have no problems with Hans Zimmer winning at all. He deserves it, and I'm glad he's emerged as the front runner.
Yes.
Did Dune get critics as well?
Yes.
Dune, in fact, did get critics. And while for BAFTA does not have original song, I think that critics does. Yes, critics winner was No Time to Die for No Time to Die, which, gosh, I think that's that has to be it though, right? At this point now, I don't know what else is like. What else has won anything?
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I'm pretty confident that No Time to Die is probably going to end up winning. The other one that could sort of throw it off is, I think, as we always say about animated songs, I think they could throw a wrench into the works as well and take out the
King
top
Richard?
award.
What do you think?
I think at this point, I think it's either going to be No Time to Die or Dos or Gooses from Encanto. I think at this point it's going to be
Yes.
one of those two.
I agree.
Um,
Well, looking at it, I'm really surprised BAFTA still does not have, they still don't have a song category. Weird, right?
Yeah, you think
Yeah.
all these years they've been around only a few years less than the Academy Awards and now have song category. That's
Shut
weird.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, they like to pick their own people from their own like Boiling Point, this or that. Maybe they could even pick their own singers singing something, because that would champion more people from Great Britain, but I guess not.
I think it's one of those ones. I think because I think with BAFTAs, I think maybe they considered putting the original song category in, but they decided not to because they've got the Rising Star Award, which is fan voted anyway, and the 2 British centric awards, like British Film and Outstanding Debut for British Director. I think it's a case of they didn't want to have too many awards. I don't know.
No, I know, it's just strange regardless. I don't know why the Oscars don't try to also have a Rising Star Award, because you're literally getting the public to help vote on an award. That's a great idea. Participation.
Look, Malcolm. Look, Manning and Malcolm. You guys, I could beat it like a drum. I could be beating this thing like a drum.
Beat it like a drum.
So many categories. Ensemble, Rising Star. I mean, Go to 6 or 7 in the main acting categories. Director. There's so many things they could do better, and they choose to do all these crazy things. So it's trying to think how these people think. You're just going to go crazy.
I mean, honestly, I do slightly disagree about more people in the 6 or 7 in the other categories. I think 5 is a good number for some of these. But as I said, when the Oscars announced the fan favorite award, they should do what the BAFTAs do with the Rising Star Award, and pick maybe 5 or 10 movies that that weren't nominated for Best Picture, and then go vote on one of these, as opposed to getting to go roughshod. Like, go nominate what the hell you want.
And then Malcolm,
Space Jam 2 if it wins.
no. Malcolm, you make a good point though. Let the last child actor that have won an Academy Award, 1993, and that's from
Who is
the
that?
piano. The
Oh
piano.
yeah, Anna Paquin.
That's 30 years ago. Why not
Very
create
rare.
an award for I mean, look, Haley Joel Osment should have an award on his mantle.
He
I don't care what
should.
anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. Jacob Tremblay should have an award on his mantle. I don't
At
care
least
what
the
anybody-
nomination.
At least, these guys should have won awards for given that you can't differentiate the difference between a child and adult. And the fact that you can get that kind of a poor performance out of children is, to me, hard as hell. I mean, Chris Columbus has done some
Oh,
great interviews
okay.
on the Harry Potter box sets.
Hold
talking about
on.
how hard it was doing. Go ahead.
Just to say, for supporting actor, which Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense, I had to know, was in fact nominated that year.
I know he was.
He lost against Michael Caine in The Cider House Rules, who already had a second. This is his second Oscar,
But he
and it's not
deserved
even
it.
his best. He did
Yes,
not
he's
deserve it for that
phenomenal in
one.
the Cider House Rules. No matter
He
what
is
you
fine.
think, man, he's phenomenal, and
I
he's phenomenal in the Cider House Rules. But
think all 4 of those are better. Tom Cruise
I
in
will tell you
Magnolia,
this.
Michael Clark Duncan in Green Mile, Jude Law and The Talented Mr. Ripley, which, okay, I can debate you on that one. And then Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense. I like
They're
them
all
all more
great.
than Michael Caine.
That category that year was phenomenal. But you want to talk about ties? You want to talk about ties?
What's the tie?
Think about this. This will blow your mind. How about a tie between Michael Clark Duncan and Haley Joel Osment that year? Tell me that tie wouldn't be the most crazy tie of all time.
That'd be a crazy tie.
Gigantic man and this little child, and they tie. Tell me that would have been the greatest thing ever. Actually, that's a record. That year is the record. You can look this up. The largest difference between height of nominees in the history of the Academy Awards. Michael Clark Duncan and Haley Joel Osment.
I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, we could probably do a whole episode going through and about categories that they could add to the
Yes, we could.
But the last thing I will say is because I feel that if they add in a young actor award, I think a lot of people will be criticizing, like the same way a lot of people tend to criticize the animated features. Like, well, they can't get nominated into the big acting awards, so we have to create this whole new award for them. And I mean, let's think, like, child actors do get nominated. It was like, I think, well, it's not often, but it's just one of those ones, like, because Keisha Castle Hughes was nominated for Whale Rider.
She was, yeah. Good
and well, she's a Kiwi, so of course I know that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes,
I knew you'd bring that up, Malcolm. I knew you.
I didn't.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Casavine Wallace nominated for Beast of the Southern Wild?
Quvenzhané Wallace.
Quvenzhané Wallace, yes. Jacob Tremblay, yes.
He was.
So,
Jacob
I mean,
Tremblay was not
Osment,
nominated.
yes. But
So
it's a
He should've.
rarity that children get nominated. But
I mean,
there's
it is.
so many great performances from children.
Yeah, as I said, I agree, but it's one of those ones like people will tend. will criticize it, thinking he's like, "Oh, the Oscars don't think that the kids have what it takes to get in there." Because I mean, it's one
It's
of
an
those
uphill
ones, like,
battle.
it is, but if they give a legitimate good performance, then they can get nominated. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I think it's an uphill battle for children just because they are, in fact, it's children. Which I don't blame. I don't blame. Uh, it is harder to judge a child's performance in comparison. I feel like than an actual, because because like as a children, we are very much on a different field than than an adult.
Yeah,
But that still doesn't take away the fact of like, wow, did I feel the emotions while you were acting? Did I get this? Like, for instance, when the Anna Paquin won, incredibly deserved. Jacob Tremblay should have been nominated for Room for lead actor, not supporting, because he's not supporting in the movie. It's his movie. Anyway, soapbox. Okay, we got to move on from that, but that's the discussion we'll have at another time and date. We're gonna get to above the line now, and that is best adapted screenplay. Ooh, best adapted screenplay went to. Are you guys ready for this?
Belfast.
No, adapted screenplay.
Oh,
Coda.
Coda.
Coda won the BAFTA for adapted screenplay, coming out of nowhere after the UC script went to The Lost Daughter, and then the Critics' Choice Award went to The Power of the Dog. What is happening in adapted screenplay, Dan?
Well, Belfast has been winning original screenplay, so we might actually have the race in the screenplay categories, because Belfast has now won twice for original screenplay in 2 different awards, I believe, and
Critics
Coda,
and something else.
Coda has beaten out Licorice Pizza, even though Licorice Pizza did win.
Coda's adapted.
Okay, Coda had beaten something out.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. That's it. Yeah. So Coda beat out Power of the Dog, where Licorice Pizza got beat out by Belfast somewhere, or a couple different places. So those are the 4 now. Now we're looking at Coda and Power of the Dog and Belfast and Licorice Pizza. We actually have where Malcolm said this a while back. He thinks there was races in these writing categories, and I was like, "Oh, we got this locked up. It's Jane Campion, and
I thought it was
Paul Thomas Anderson." But now I remember Malcolm said, "Oh, don't count your chickens when it comes to the writing categories," because
also, I mean, let's not forget, like, with the WGA, because I think that's where things got interesting there, because both Power of the Dog and Belfast, which were considered the front runners in those screenplay categories, they weren't eligible for the WGA. But then again,
that's right.
Just mean everything wasn't eligible for the WGA. I'm surprised they found 5 nominees in each category. Good point. But honestly, because Power of the Dog got critics, didn't
it did.
So
for clarification, adapted screenplay for the BAFTA went to Coda. Original screenplay for BAFTA went to Licorice Pizza. So, and then adapted screenplay for critics went to Power of the Dog. Original screenplay for critics went to Belfast. So switch and swatch.
Yeah. So I think for the Oscar, it's definitely going to come down to Power of the Dog and Coda when all is said and done. And on the original side of things, I think it's going to be either Licorice Pizza or Belfast. So it's definitely going to be one of those interesting things.
Okay, Malcolm, I have a question for you, and I'm not the host, but I have a question.
Oh, I'm curious.
Who do you think they want to give an Oscar to? Because I think this time around, we're actually going to get spreading of the love. Because you got Paul Thomas Anderson and Kenneth Branagh in the same category. Which of those 2 do you think is more overdue for an Oscar? Because I think that the Oscars, more than the other award shows, are a popularity contest sometimes. And then obviously we know Jane Campion's probably going to beat out Spielberg or whatever. If he's in that, right?
Yeah, Jane Campion is walking away with the director. That's going to be her win for that night. I'm going to put I'm putting my super bet on that, because that's one of the most assured things I feel like of the night. I will say that don't forget, when you were looking at you also have The Worst Person in the World. It's also nominated for original screenplay at the Oscars, and that's been building steam and has gotten nominated nowhere else until it built steam at the last second. Do I think it's going to win? No, but that could siphon off votes. I've seen some people say it could siphon off votes for some of the other films, and that could let something else rise to the occasion. I don't know what it could be, but that's also a possibility because there's a lot of love for The Worst Person in the World.
Yeah. But honestly, I think at this stage, I think Aaron Sorkin's not winning, Adam McKay's not winning, and King
Aaron
Richard's
Sorkin's not nominated.
Well, I mean, he's still not winning.
Exactly. He's definitely not winning. All right. Those are the screenplay categories. It was just wild to me that Coda won BAFTA. I was not expecting that whatsoever. All right. So moving right along to one of the acting categories, and that is, guys, the acting categories. We're gonna go through all of them. But supporting actor for BAFTA went to Troy Kotsur for Coda. Supporting actress went to Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Leading actor went to Will Smith for King Richard. And for leading actress, well, I will say this is the craziest. Joanna Scanlon for Afterlove.
I predicted it because
you did.
Yep,
Nice.
Because I predicted it because I knew that none of the Oscar 5 were in there, and that if you look on Gold Derby, the freaking leading person on Gold Derby was Joanna. I was like, I'm picking her because I don't care, because it has nothing to do with the Academy Award. I'm just gonna pick. I picked
nice.
her, picked the winner. I lost Cody Smith McPhee. I guess I had to get. I'm jumping off the Cody Smith McPhee bandwagon.
Yes.
I ain't messing around anymore. I'm going with Troy Kotsur for the Oscar.
I think, especially now, if you look at the comparison for Critics' Choice Awards, which almost duplicated, say, for Joanna Scanlon's win, which opts for Critics' Choice Awards, Jessica Chastain was victorious, which I kind of find ridiculous because, like, if you're going based upon critics' wins, shouldn't it have been shouldn't it have been Kristen Stewart, which I know this has been beaten to death. I feel like the Critics' Choice Awards are very reactionary. They're going to try to go with where the momentum is going, I feel like. Not all the critics. I meant the organization. And it's just kind of like, really? Okay.
And you know what's funny is Malcolm and Jeb, dang it, convinced me not to go for her. And I had her on my mind for that dang SAG award. And I changed my mind. Now I ain't changing. I'm going for Jessica Chastain. And you know this. From the very beginning, I've been on board with Jessica Chastain. And I kept on waffling, changing my mind and everything.
I just feel like now that the acting categories have gotten boring now, all of a sudden.
Which is weird. Whoever thought that would happen? I didn't think it would become boring, but some of these categories are starting to straighten themselves out here.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those ones like I think actor and the two supporting ones are pretty much locked in stone here. Although I still think, even as much as I still think Kirsten Dunst is better than Ariana DeBose, but that's another story. At this point, it's not enough for me to count out Ariana for winning the Oscars. I think I think it's kind of sealed in. I think there's still a slight chance it's slipping away now, though. I think there's a slight chance that Cody could pull out the upset and maybe come out on top of Troy, but I think Troy's got the momentum at this stage. Once again, it's one of those ones that I don't know if I'm going to be brave and predict that Cody wins the Oscar for supporting, because of Troy having the thing. But it's that being said, I think Emilia Jones should have run for best actress at the BAFTAs. I think out of the ones I've seen, it was either for me. It was either her or Renee Winsby from Worst Person in the World. I think should have won. I haven't seen Afterlove either, so I can't judge that. Yes, but yeah,
same. I've not seen Afterlove. Have you seen Afterlove?
They're going to go with some of their Brit people on some of these guys. Without the Oscar 5 in there, you knew they were going to go with one of their big Brits. And that movie, I guess, from what I heard, is a big movie over there.
Oh no, yeah, that Boiling Point and it's Ali and Ava.
I cannot. I've been trying to find dang Boiling Point. It's on Vudu. I might try to watch it this week.
Oh,
which makes me wonder. because I remember us talking about the BAFTA nominations. Could Joanna Scanlon have been one of the two that didn't have to be voted into that
Oh,
category?
yeah, you know she was. If she won it, of course she was.
Or what I think was she was part of the committee. The committee loved her so much, and then people were like, "Oh, what's this?" And they actually might have given it a shot, looked at her, and
Yeah.
then might have, because there was no way. I don't know who the top two vote getters. I don't think we're ever going to know, because Best Actress has been so all over the place until recently now, where I feel like Jessica Chastain's on top. Again, she could lose Jessica Chastain. She's not guaranteed still, but it's looking more likely in comparison to where it was even a week ago.
And think about it. It would be two first times, one for Jessica, one for Will, and two longtime actors.
Yeah.
Actors. So that's good.
And two up and breakthrough. I guess Troy Kotcher's been working for a long time, and Ariana DeBose has worked on some things before, but these are kind of like their big roles, you know. So it's kind of like an up and coming in a way.
Yeah, I mean, what the supporting actors go for and what the lead actors go for, basically.
Yes. I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, I still think there is a world in which Kristen Stewart wins lead actress at the Oscars. I mean, it's one of those ones because I think as much as I do think Jessica Chastain deserves it, I think Kristen Stewart deserves it a lot more.
Fair.
Just because,
Malcolm, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. But what I'm going to say is this. Just look at the support for Spencer overall, and
that's fair.
How she got snubbed for SAG. And I think that nomination might be like, no, we loved you. Here's a nomination, Kristen Stewart. But Jessica Chastain kind of gave the better performance, doing it all in makeup, which they love, getting all makeup up. Gary Oldman, Charlize Theron, you know, they love giving
their transformational performances.
Transformation of performance, absolutely. And I just think it's Jessica Chastain's year, and I think Kristen Stewart's going to have another day. That's just my opinion, and I don't disagree with yours. I would love to see Kristen Stewart win. I would absolutely, because I love her in that movie.
We'll talk about more of that when we finally get our Oscar predictions. And before we get into the last few categories, Critics' Choice also had Best Acting Ensemble, which your winner was Belfast, and one of its few wins. Belfast also won Young Actor/Actress for Jude Hill for Belfast, which awesome. I liked all the different young actors in there. I would have given it to Amelia Jones or Sanaya Sidney, one of those two, both fantastic. But for Acting Ensemble, No Mass, it's a travesty, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Wasn't even.
That's too bad.
It is. All right. Moving right along, for BAFTA, we have animated film. Your nominees were Flea, Luca, Mitchell vs. the Machines, and your winner was Encanto. Which then will bring up to the fact I want to ask, because if you go to Critics' Choice Awards, the winner was the Mitchells vs. the Machines. And for the Annie Awards, it was also the Mitchells vs. the Machines. And you had a great stat you wanted to share with us, Malcolm, in regards to animated film.
Yeah, so one thing I've decided to go, because when I saw the win for Encanto at the BAFTAs and I saw the Annies and the Critics, like, I thought I'd go back through the Annies and the Oscars for animated film ever since they were in existence. Out of the 20 years of animated feature at the Oscars, 14 out of those 20 times they also won the Annie Award. It was only about 6 times that they differed. So where I'm going with this is, with that stat, could the Mitchells vs. Machine upset Encanto?
I hope so.
That's a good stat. That's
a
really good stat.
Yeah.
Remember, Mitchell's was the front runner for months and months and months until Encanto came out, and then Encanto took over with the songs and this and that and the other. But now I think we're starting to get back into where maybe the Mitchells might pull this thing off.
I will add, based upon that, though, I think the animation branch loves Mitchell versus the Machines. I think Encanto has that large body of support outside of the branches because it got the song, it got score as well outside of just animated feature, which makes me think that Encanto will be the 7th out of those 6. But I would love it if Mitchell vs. Machines could pull it off. But I think that's a good stat.
Very good stat.
Oh yeah,
It's a race.
It's definitely
a race.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I felt really interesting when I looked it up because it's like, I can't remember what the last year was. That it was a split. Might have been BK06 or something back then.
Yes, it
so
was.
I only just sort of marked down if they repeated it at the Oscars and then. But yeah, it's definitely made the animated race interest. That's for sure.
These were the two. We kind of knew these were the two all year anyway. I mean, it was like a lot of these characters. There's two. It always boils down to 2 people, 2 movies. There's 2, whatever.
Except film editing.
Yeah, that was 5. It could be any of the 5.
4. It's not gonna be Don't Look Up. It's gonna be it's 4,
yeah. Good point. Yeah, good point.
The other thing is because at the Annie's, did Flea won the independent side of it?
Yeah,
I don't think that's going
to. They did win.
Well,
they did.
Yeah. What I was about to say is, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be either Mitchell's or Encanto. There could be it could be a chance that they split the votes and Flea comes out through the middle.
Oh, wow,
that would be awesome.
That would
I
be
love
crazy.
that. I'd be all for
documentary,
that.
Summer of Soul lost too. That's the next thing you're going to bring up, right, man?
That is exactly the next thing. Or Malcolm, you want to add anything else before we move on to documentary?
Yeah, no, there's nothing more that I wanted to add on this, but yeah.
No, I think that's honestly a great stat. Now for documentary, your nominations for documentary, the BAFTAs were Becoming Cousteau, Cow, Flea, The Rescue, and the winner was Summer of Soul, which has lost nothing but DGA for directing, and I think is going to move on to the Oscar, in my humble opinion.
And I will tell you the reason why I think it lost director, because that director of Attica has done 2 or 3 documentaries already. He's done some good work in the past, and I think that was their way of rewarding him.
That's
Questlove is a relative new director. Yeah,
First
he's a
time.
musician and all this, and he's on Jimmy Fallon and this and that.
Yeah,
but the Directors Guild remembered things, and that this guy's already done 2 great documentaries, so that we're going to reward him. Plus Attica, wow, what a great documentary!
It is.
I don't have any problems with that, but I think Questlove is going to win this thing.
It is.
But when he lost,
really
I heard, he kind of jumped and left.
I heard that. Yes.
He didn't stick around for the DGA, the rest of the DGA when he lost. So,
which I find hilarious.
But yeah, I think Summer of Soul's got the Oscar easily.
Yeah. It's kind of been the favorite since it came out of Sundance. Like people have been praising it. Like it is maintained its momentum in the front since it came out of Sundance last year, which is really impressive.
Yeah, that Coda have really just stuck around, which is crazy. Both of those films have stuck around this long.
But yeah, the other thing I was going to bring up is we're probably going to go into the full non-English language next anyway.
Yes, you got it.
Is Flea going to win something at the Oscars? Because I think Drive My Car, that won BAFTA, is going to pull it out again, because I think I've heard nothing but good things about it. And
it's my favorite film of the year. It is. It really. I watched it twice. I've seen it twice. It's my favorite film of the year. I will quickly add. We didn't get to see what we talked about, but I watched it again. I saw a screener, and then I need to finish my review, and then I watched it again on HBO Max. And it's. I let it marinate for a while, and man, I'm gonna cry again thinking about it. It is so good. If it didn't win, I'd be sad. Although if Flea won, I'd be happy. Although worst person, this is a great. You were right. This is a great year for international films, and I'm happy about it.
And any of these are legitimate contenders to obviously job my car made it in. But tell me right now that you don't think that Flea or Worst Person couldn't have made it, didn't deserve to be in the Best Picture contender, those 10 over maybe a couple others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Full stop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
Full
all I
stop.
want to say. That's all I'm not gonna say nothing
I
else.
haven't seen the Yak movie yet, but,
Oh.
but still.
I mean,
It's
yeah, I mean, I would have taken
coming
out.
of age film, Manny. It's
Yeah.
a generic coming of age film. Just the only difference is it's set in Bhutan.
Cool. Good for Bhutan.
I mean, the only thing I would have taken out of Best Picture is Don't Look Up and put Worst Person in.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
didn't say it. Malcolm said it.
I agree. I think we all agree on this panel.
I mean,
Don't Look Up.
I haven't seen Flea, but I've seen a little bit of it. I don't think that should have been in Best Picture from what I've
It
seen.
should. I believe Flea is amazing.
The animation is, to me, is what's holding it back. But from what I've been told from my editor, and we talked about this on our international feature episode,
Which you can watch on our Take 3 Productions YouTube channel. Go ahead.
is they wanted to have a minimalistic animation so it didn't take away from the story and the journey of the man telling the story. In hindsight, I'm thinking about, okay, well, that makes sense. If the animation was like this just amazing animation, maybe it would take, but also why look at the clouds, the mountain climbing one on Netflix. Tell me that story wasn't better.
Oh, Summit of the Gods, yeah.
Summit of the Gods. Tell me that story wasn't better for having better animation. And that completely got freaking lost in the shuffle. Summit of the Gods did, right, Manning?
That
Tell
did.
me that story wasn't better because of the animation.
I haven't seen Summit of the Gods, so I can't comment.
Oh man!
It's one of those ones because I think when it comes to a lot of those independent animation things, it's hard to get them in because there's so many good like big budget animated movies, and it just happened that last year there was a plethora of big budget animations. The fact, I mean, honestly, the fact we got Flea into the race for animated is amazing in itself.
Oscars don't like rotoscope either, Malcolm. So that's probably the reason Summit of the Gods didn't get in there. And it doesn't bode well for Apollo 10.5.
Well, I mean, I think Apollo 10 isn't that a TV series and not a movie, but
is it?
But in saying that, with Apollo 10.5, it's also David Linklater. So
they do like
Richard Linklater.
I was about to say, wait a minute, who's David Linklater? His brother.
His brother. I mean, he deserves some credit.
You're right. I'm sorry. I can't denounce the greatness that is David Linklater. You're right.
We're gonna have all the David Linklaters come up to us now. It's like I heard out my name.
Newscaster's named Linklater.
But
oh lordy.
Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't A Scanner Darkly nominated?
Yeah, 2001 or 2000. Was it 99 or 2001? Somewhere in there?
The Scanner Darkly was later than that.
In the 90s. What? Either the 90s or the early 2000s.
No. You're thinking of Breaking Live. He did A Scanner Darkly later on. I think that was 2007.
Really? Oh wow. Jeez.
That was a lot later than I thought.
I didn't realize it was that far off. Okay.
Because the thing for Apollo 10.5, you've got Richard Linklater's name attached to it, so that gives it a little bit more clout, as opposed to a name you probably don't recognize. I don't know who did Summit of the Gods in the first place.
Yeah, it was a small foreign language film.
Let's talk about this real quick for 2 seconds, Manny.
2 seconds.
I think our last show of the year is going to be predictions for potential things that could get nominated next year, and that's
maybe
what we're gonna call our last show, right?
Maybe not predictions as in like this, but at least talking about what we'll be seeing, because obviously things are going to be so fluctuating. We can kind of call it out, but I'm not going to hold us to it.
No,
but if we get it right,
that's fun. I always thought that's kind of a fun episode to go out.
It is. It is. Listen, we only have, honestly, wow, think about it.
Couple left.
We have this episode. We only have 4 episodes left for the year. Like after this episode, we have no, sorry, 5. Excuse me, we have 5 episodes left for the year. Just for clarification, we have, besides this episode, we have the one that is next, the final Oscar predictions, the PGA reactions. Excuse me, no. We'll have PGA reactions, kind of a nice scope of everything that's going to happen. And then finally, we're going to have our final Oscar predictions, our Oscar reactions, our top films of 2021, and then looking ahead at next year before we take our couple-month hiatus.
As Scanner Darkly wasn't nominated,
Nah.
that the year that it should have been nominated, because there was a weird year which the animated feature only had 3 nominees. It was Ratatouille, Persepolis, and Surfs.
Surf's Up
I probably would have knocked out
Yeah.
Surfs Up for Scanner Darkly.
Yeah. Why is Surf's Up there? It's not a good movie.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Well, I think anyway, Drive My Car is definitely, I think, winning. That's probably one of the most assured things after all the critical love. Talk about a movie that is like, again, it won the BAFTA, it won the Critics' Choice. Bravo for it. Talk about a film that basically has been lifted up from critics. Like, bravo to that film.
Yeah, my editor talked about that months and months and months ago. He was all over Drive My Car, and I was like, oh, I got to see this movie.
So
and I got to see it early December. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't say. It has so much to say about relationships, life, living and passing away. I mean, it just, it's one of the most incredible movies that deals with just interpersonal kinds of relationships and how we deal with death and how we deal with life as a whole. You know, it has so many great things to say, you know, and that just happens to be a Japanese movie.
It's truly phenomenal. It's a great film. We have 2 more for the winner of BAFTA. We have, for best outstanding British film, we had winner Belfast. Not really surprised. I'd be surprised if it was anything else other than Belfast, because I feel like Belfast has been nipping at the heels just for, some sort of awards recognition this year. It's kind of like it's trying but hasn't been succeeding.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it got
a British film.
I'm glad Brana got something, because I feel like, well, I'm not the biggest fan of Belfast. I'm just glad Brana's getting some attention, because I think he is a good director.
Too. I loved his speech.
Yeah, I agree.
But he didn't stick around for the Savoy. So then when Belfast won the Critics' Choice Awards, he could have been involved in that, but he didn't stick around.
Oh well.
I was 1 a.m. I guess it was like 2 a.m. in the morning when they were doing it.
Ouchie. I don't blame him. All right. So then we also have Best Director. Your nomination for BAFTA were Titan, Licorice Pizza, Happening, Drive My Car, and After Love. Your winner was Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. As we have said before, the same thing happened with Critics' Choice. She won that. I think we can put a pin in this conversation. She's winning.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jane Campion's got this, and I wanted to bring up real quick, and obviously Malcolm's got something to say, but I loved her speech when she's like, "I love you, Williams sisters. You're fantastic. You're just such a great voice for American young ladies and women in general, and women in inclusion, and this and that and the other, and all the different things she said. But I got something to tell you. You don't have to go up against the boys. I got to go up against the boys." And they're both stood up and clapped. And they're like, "Yeah, you're right. You do have to go up against the boys. And we don't." They were wondering what she was going to say, because you look at their faces, they're like, what is she going to say? And she's, "I got to go up against the boys. You don't." So I was like, yeah, that's kind of interesting, because women in the film industry do have to go up against the boys in some of these below the line categories, director, writing, and that. So I liked her. I liked the fact that she stood up and said that. Kind of a jab to Steven Spielberg in a little way.
Well, I see that. I saw that as because the Venus, the Williams sisters have in fact played against men before. They have played before in matches, and I guess I saw them. I think
Charity matches.
yes,
Yep.
that's true. But it's like I don't think the comment was necessary in the sense of like because
No?
it got out of hand. I think it got out of hand because it was all ablaze. I think it was blown way out of proportion, honestly. And just the comparison of yourself between, like you comparing yourself to some other high profile woman, especially nowadays, is in the sense of like don't compare yourself, especially considering she was a white woman in a position of power in comparison to Serena and Venus. I just think it was kind of like maybe not the best thing to do. I might have understand her intention, and I see what she was going for in raising them up and lifting them up. But I think it came across rather clumsily in my mind. However, I don't think that takes away from the fact of what she was trying to do and trying to lift them up and just be like, hey, listen to all the boys in the room. This is what I did. I think she was lifting her up. I feel like she could have worded it better, but I understand the sentiment that she was trying to go for. But that's just what I saw in the observation over there. If you got that, that's perfect. I think that's a better, more pure understanding of what should have been seen.
But think about it. Tell me, put Serena Williams against Roger Federer. How often do you think she would win?
I don't know who Roger Federer is because I don't watch sports.
The greatest tennis player of all time who played during the same era as Venus and Serena did.
I didn't know
Roger Nadal, another great Spanish tennis player. I don't think they would have played as good against Roger
I would
Nadal
love to have seen that. Maybe she would have. I'm not sure.
Roger Federer.
Look, I think Serena Williams could take Roger Federer any day.
But staying out of this.
But I mean, I don't watch sports myself, but
okay.
But that's what she was getting at. How in athletics, women play against women, and men play against men. And in movies and filmmaking and directing and writing and cinematography and all these other categories, women are lumped in with men. That's what she was getting at.
I mean, with the exception of the best actress categories, you're not lumped for men.
Yeah, well, men have their own categories as well. See, there you go. Men have their own categories. Women have their own categories. See?
But it's. I kind of agree with Manning. I think the comment was this would at least need to be worded better. But that being said, like traditionally, like it is true for tennis. There's always some exceptions, obviously, because there was there was a movie about the Battle of the Sexes match between Billie Jean King and
there is.
What's his name?
That was a charity match that those two played. You're right, but Billie Jean King kicked the crap out of what's his name when it mattered.
Well, I honestly, I don't. It wasn't that specific one was a charity match. It was actually more of a case of she had something she wanted to prove, and so she got this match set up. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, obviously, but
yeah, no, it was a winner take all prize. So there was money on the line.
It definitely wasn't a charity match. That's for sure.
Yeah, so they definitely had like because again it was basically the battle, which again I'm trying to remember that movie in and of itself, but like if I'm not mistaken, I think that there was like a match the same year before where he fought someone else, and then it happened again. So I think Bobby Riggs had some issues to work out.
Yeah.
Which we can all agree upon that. But no, I think that Jane Campion is a representative of that barrier. We have never had back-to-back women filmmakers win. Obviously, this is the third woman to win, and I think truly that this is a glass ceiling breakthrough. If you can have something like this happen, obviously we still have a long way to go when it comes to certain things. But if you look back to where we've come in these 4 years, we've made a lot of progress when it comes to the diversity of filmmaking, not just at the Oscars, but like in filmmaking in general. And Jane Campion is someone, she has been around a long time. And as the first woman to get 2 best directing nominations, like to cap it off with a win, I think that stat is phenomenal and well deserved.
Yeah,
It's what, 4 out
and
of 5 years? 4 out of the last 5 years, a woman's been nominated for Best Director.
It's pretty great. It's a nice
Yeah.
stat to have since you look at the other stat and it's like, oof.
and she's also the first female to have a movie nominated for 10 or more Oscars in itself.
Yep, good
That's
point.
also really true.
Yeah.
All right, so we ended off with the winner for on both ends when it comes to the Best Picture for the critics and BAFTA. The winner was Power of the Dog for BAFTA, as well as for the Critics' Choice Awards. Surprising, utterly, no one, maybe critics went with Coda, but they didn't. Or Belfast, but they went with Power of the Dog. And I'm now almost confident in saying that if it can win both of these, and most of everywhere save for SAG, where it wasn't nominated, and PGA, we still have PGA, guys. But Power of the Dog is looking mighty fine, and we could see a day, because remember, BAFTA only gave 2 to Power of the Dog, picture and director. Is there a day where that repeats at the Oscars?
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's a chance, because I think at most it might get screenplay as well. I think it could get 3.
Yes.
It's going to be one of those interesting things. But I think it's safe to say that Power of the Dog is the front runner at this point.
Yes.
But that being said, I think if anything kind of challenges it at the Oscars, it might be Coda, because with Coda getting SAG, and then who knows what the PGA is going to be doing. But it's like Coda could come out through the woodworks and sort of take it at the end of the day. And honestly, I'd like to see that happen if that does, because I really do love Coda.
I know and I think if it does a preferential ballot, it'll do well on a preferential ballot. I think if it does go that route. But the Power of the Dog just still, I mean, if it can win PGA, I just need to wait for PGA to see how it plays on a preferential ballot. But after this, the Power of the Dog just looks like it's doing really well. Dan, do you see a day where it caps out at 2 Oscars for picture and director?
no, I think it's going to win screenwriting as well.
Okay.
Adapted screen. I think it's going to win 3. I think it's going to win 3. I'm strongly predicting it to win 3. I jumped off the Cody Smith McPhee bandwagon. I think Troy Kotzer's got that one, but Johnny Greenwood, I think he's going to lose to Hans Zimmer, so we forget about that one. And a lot of these below the line categories, it looks like Dune has got these, and Cruella and The Eyes of Tammy Faye have got some of these. So I think you're looking at 3, but 3 big ones: screenplay, director, Oscar, Best Picture. And did No Man win those 3? No Man Land win those 3?
It won actress instead of screenplay.
Okay, so all right, there you go. But
so big 3.
Yeah, big 3.
Yeah.
If Campion pulls it off, she'll have 3 Oscars.
I mean, the other thing which could end up being a spoiler is if Power of the Dog takes cinematography as well.
Yes.
There's that as well. So
there's a chance of that. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a chance of that. No.
Yeah, it depends on what the American Cinematography Society does. American Society of Cinematographers, depends on what they pick. If they go for Greg Fraser or Ari Wagner. If they go with Ari Wagner, I'm gonna go with that. But if they go with Greg Fraser, I'm gonna go with that. It all really depends on what happens right there.
Speaking of, it popped up on my notifications. If you guys are interested, Greg Fraser is being interviewed on a video by Gold Derby today. So,
nice!
If you're interested in watching that.
Of course.
Our buddy over there, Daniel Montgomery, and Gold Derby.
Oh, Daniel did. Oh, fantastic! Oh, I'll definitely look at that.
I don't know if he interviewed. I haven't watched the interview.
Oh.
It popped up while I was doing this.
Oh, well, I'll definitely give that a look. But no, I think, Power of the Dog, the spoiler being Coda, but the Coda wasn't even nominated. It's only 3 Oscars on its name. And it would have to win all 3, I think, to win picture, because I don't think that's whatever is winning screenplay, I think is winning picture. Because I have a really hard time seeing Is there a day where the Power of the Dog only gets best pictures, best director?
I was thinking that I was reading your mind. I'm thinking, don't tell me he thinks Belfast could win Best Picture.
No,
and
Coda.
Coda could win Best Picture, and Jane Campion could get director, and then something could get screenplay. That'd be weird. Like
It would.
Belfast would get screenplay, Campion would get director, and Coda would get picture. That'd be weird. That's really spreading the love. And then like Licorice Pizza would get the other screenplay. That'd be really spreading the love.
It would be an utterly bizarre.
Then the acting awards would go to everybody, and the only one that would repeat would be Coda, because Troy Kotzer would probably win that.
Yeah, and then Dune.
You get 5 different things winning in the 6 major categories.
Crazy.
I mean, we can revisit this conversation once the PGA gets announced.
Yes.
It'll give us a clearer idea of which way they're going to go. So.
Yeah, no, when that is the case, but that's just a weird thing that's been on my mind. When for BAFTA, the Power of the Dog won only 2 BAFTAs that day, which is
Has a Netflix movie won the best picture at the producers?
Never. It'd be it's the Producers Guild.
Didn't Rome?
Now, foreign language, right?
No, I think because Roma won a special.
So there you go. The Producers Guild is going to really play a big part, because if they go with Power of the Dog, they'll be the first Netflix movie to win producers, and then you could almost assuredly say it's going to win Best Picture after that, because they haven't gone with a Best Picture winner for Netflix yet. Neither has the Academy, and this could be the year of all the movies. Right?
I'm about to find out right now if it won Producers Guild, and it did not. It was only nominated.
So there you go. So if Power of the Dog wins, you can almost guarantee Power Dog is going to win Best Picture, because even the Producers Guild had never given a Netflix movie Best Picture.
That's so true. Holy cow.
That's really going to go hand in hand. You could almost guarantee that's going to go hand in hand.
No, it could absolutely do as such. Wow. Well,
but that being said, if PJ gives it to Coda, then it could still be the first time a streaming movie has.
Apple Plus.
Yeah. Good point, Malcolm. That'll be Apple Plus, so that'd be a different streaming movie. So there you go.
Apple TV Plus. Excuse me.
TV Plus.
I mean, like it'll be streaming movie in general. Really, because because the only other streaming one that's been nominated has, as we said, Roma, and that didn't.
And how about the legs? How about the legs for Coda? If Coda starts winning these
surprising,
awards, I mean, that is some amazing legs for this little movie from Gloucester, Massachusetts, my favorite state.
Well, I mean, when did it drop on Apple TV Plus?
August.
In August. It's premiered. I mean,
even though it came out in Sundance a few years ago, I think the reason it's got so much legs is because it dropped at the right time on Apple TV Plus. Because I think had it dropped much earlier in the year, then it could be a different story altogether.
That's so true. I'm just looking at that right now. Like, this is just that would be unprecedented if that were to happen. But every year a new stat is going to be broken, and just kind of figuring out what stat it's going to be this year, honestly. So we will see upon that. All right, Dan, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me at disappointmentmedia.com, where I write about everything under the sun, including I do retrospectives, I do anniversaries. I did a broadcast news retrospective, RIP for William Hurt. Yes. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But also A Quiet Man, 70th anniversary this coming week. So in line with St. Patrick's Day. I do all kinds of. I'm reviewing TV shows. I'm reviewing all the latest movies. If you don't find my articles on Disappointment Media, you can go to my blog, from the fourth row.wordpress.com, where I'm doing just as much writing over there. So those are my 2 big ones. I do some YouTube shows. A couple of them are on hiatus, but one of them is going to be coming back soon. Bleacher Features. Hopefully, I'll get both of these guys on and do an episode this season.
Oh, yeah.
And my regular social media is Dan Skipown on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, or DP Skipown or From the Fourth Row, whatever. I have variations of what my social medias are.
Malcolm, where can they find you?
You can find me on Take 3 Productions. I host Rankum every Saturday. This week, we're doing Oscar Best Score winners. So that's going to be very interesting. You can also find me hosting trivia on Full Metal and torturing people on the Take 3 Productions Facebook page with choosing between franchises. So
There you go. I'm going to try to be on that one for scores if I possibly can. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. And you can find me on Twitter at Cine_man. That's CINE_MANN. Oh, and I forgot. I should have done this at the beginning, but you know what? It's not important to the show, but it's important to me. I am officially now a critic for the North Carolina Critics Association. So now I can officially review films. I still have to build up my resume, so we'll see how that continues to come, how that continues to roll about. But in the meantime, expect me to actually see films just as fast as Dan. Now I'm gonna get you this next award season, buddy. I'm gonna catch up with you. Anyway. And you can find me, of course, here hosting Gone with the Wind, or where you find us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your various different podcasts, as well as here on Take 3 Productions YouTube channel, where you'll find us right there. Thank you guys again for joining us on this exciting episode, 97th episode of Gone with the Wind. Don't forget to vote in Gone with the Wind awards, as you'll find below. I'll be tweeting it out. My buddies here will be tweeting it out, and you will find us right here on Gone with the Wind. Have a great rest of the day.